The Forgotten Homeworld, 1,500 words. The vast, starry expanse of the Milky Way stretched out before the sleek, silver vessel as it navigated the uncharted regions of deep space. On the bridge, Captain Ava Sinclair stared out at the endless sea of stars, her brow furrowed in a mix of determination and trepidation. This expedition was unlike any other she had undertaken. For centuries, humanity had spread out across the galaxy, establishing colonies and outposts on countless worlds, yet the origins of their species, the legendary planet called Earth, had been lost to the annals of history. Now, Ava had been handpicked by the Interstellar Exploratory Initiative to lead a mission to uncover the truth, to find the long-forgotten homeworld of humanity. "Captain, we're approaching the designated coordinates," her first officer announced, breaking the tense silence on the bridge. "Sensors are detecting an anomaly, but I can't make out any clear signatures." Ava straightened her shoulders, her hazel eyes narrowing. "Bring us in slowly, Lieutenant. I want a full scan of the area." She turned to her science officer. "Anything unusual you can detect?" The science officer's fingers danced across the holographic displays, brow furrowed in concentration. "There are faint energy readings, Captain, but they don't match any known stellar phenomena or artificial constructs in our databases. It's almost as if..." The officer's voice trailed off, and Ava felt a flutter of anticipation in her chest. "As if what?" "As if the readings are being actively concealed, ma'am," the officer replied, meeting Ava's gaze with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "I can't say for certain, but it's possible we're detecting some kind of cloaking or masking technology." Ava's heart raced. Could this be the first tangible clue to the location of Earth? She straightened her shoulders, steeling her nerves. Increase sensor resolution and prepare a full spectrum scan. I want to know what's out there, no matter how well it's hidden. The bridge crew sprang into action, fingers flying across their consoles as the ship's advanced systems probed the anomaly. Tension hung thick in the air as seconds ticked by, until finally, the science officer's eyes widened. "Captain, I'm detecting a planet. It's Earth," the officer exclaimed, her voice trembling with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Ava felt a surge of triumph, but she quickly tempered her excitement. "Confirmed." "Yes, Mom," the officer replied, her fingers racing across the controls. "The gravitational and atmospheric signatures are an exact match to historical records of Earth, and the energy readings, they indicate an advanced, highly developed civilization." A hush fell over the bridge as Ava absorbed this revelation. For centuries, the homeworld of humanity had been lost, relegated to little more than myth and legend. And now, after all this time, they had finally found it. Ava straightened her shoulders, her mind racing. "Bring us into a stable orbit, Lieutenant. I want a full tactical and scientific analysis of the planet before we make any moves. We need to understand what we're dealing with here." "Aye, Captain," the officer replied, guiding the ship into position with practiced precision. As the image of Earth filled the main view screen, Ava felt a mix of emotions. Awe at the sight of the familiar blue and green orb, trepidation at the prospect of making first contact with a civilization that had been lost to the galaxy for untold generations, and underlying it all, a sense of profound responsibility. "Captain, scans are complete," the science officer announced, drawing Ava's attention. "The planet is indeed Earth, but the readings are unusual, to say the least." Ava leaned forward, her gaze fixed on the officer. "Explain." "Well, for one, the atmospheric composition and climate patterns are markedly different from the historical records we have on file," the officer said, brow furrowed. "It's almost as if the planet has undergone some sort of large-scale terraforming or environmental modification, and the energy signatures, they indicate a level of technology far beyond what we would have expected from a lost civilization." Ava nodded, her mind racing. "What else can you tell me?" "The population appears to be thriving, with large-scale urban centers and a robust infrastructure," the officer continued. But there's no sign of any interstellar activity or communication. No space stations, no orbital defense platforms, no active space programs. It's as if they've deliberately isolated themselves from the rest of the galaxy. Ava frowned, mulling over this revelation. Deliberately isolated. That doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? The science officer shook her head. I'm not sure, Captain. But the data suggests that Earth has been hidden, intentionally or not, for a very long time. Ava's gaze drifted back to the image of the planet, her heart heavy with the weight of this discovery. For centuries, humanity had spread out across the stars, establishing colonies and outposts on countless worlds. And yet, the very birthplace of their species had been forgotten, lost to the annals of history. Captain, we're being hailed, the communications officer suddenly announced, breaking the silence. It's an automated message originating from the planet's surface. Iva straightened, her eyes narrowing. Put it through. A holographic display flickered to life, and a disembodied voice filled the bridge. This is an automated message from the government of Earth. You are approaching the sovereign territory of our planet. Identify yourselves and state your purpose, or be prepared to face the consequences. Ava exchanged a glance with her first officer, her heart pounding. This was it, their first contact with the long-lost homeworld of humanity. She took a deep breath, then replied, "This is Captain Ava Sinclair of the Interstellar Exploratory Initiative. We've come to make contact with the people of Earth. We mean you no harm. In fact, we're here to help you reconnect with the rest of the galaxy." There was a long pause, and Ava held her breath, wondering if the message had even been received. Finally, the reply came, the voice tinged with a hint of suspicion. "We have no need for assistance from the rest of the galaxy. Earth is self-sufficient and has no desire to engage with outside civilizations. You are to turn back immediately and leave our airspace. Any further attempt to make contact will be met with force." Ava's eyes widened, and she exchanged a troubled glance with her crew. "But surely you must understand. Humanity has spread out across the stars, establishing colonies and outposts on countless worlds. We've lost touch with our homeworld, and we're eager to reconnect, to share our knowledge and resources." Another pause, and then the reply came, firm and unyielding. "Earth is not interested in your offer. You have been warned. Leave now, or face the consequences." The transmission abruptly cut off, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Ava stared at the image of the planet, her mind racing. What had happened to Earth, and why were they so determined to remain isolated from the rest of the galaxy? She knew that she couldn't simply turn back, not when they had come so close to uncovering the truth. Ava straightened her shoulders, her eyes narrowing with resolve. "Helm, maintain our position. I want a full tactical and strategic analysis of Earth's defenses. We're not going anywhere until we've made contact with the people of this planet, one way or another." The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity as the crew sprang into action, but Ava's gaze remained fixed on the image of Earth, a glimmer of determination burning in her hazel eyes. They had come too far to turn back now. Whatever secrets the planet held, she was determined to uncover them, no matter the cost. The Earthlings' defiant stand, 1,500 words. The bridge of Ava's ship buzzed with activity as the crew worked tirelessly to analyze Earth's defenses and prepare for the daunting task of making first contact with the long-lost homeworld of humanity. Ava paced back and forth, her brow furrowed in concentration. The initial transmission from Earth had been clear and uncompromising. They wanted no part in the affairs of the galaxy and were willing to use force to maintain their isolation. Yet Ava couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. "Captain, we've completed our initial scans," the science officer reported, her fingers dancing across the holographic displays. "The data is quite remarkable, to say the least." Ava turned her attention to the officer, her eyes narrowing. "What have you found?" "Well, for starters, the planet's atmospheric and climate patterns have been extensively modified," the officer explained, her voice tinged with awe. It's as if they terraformed the entire world, creating a stable, temperate environment across the majority of the surface. Ava nodded, her mind racing. And the energy signatures you mentioned earlier. Even more impressive, the officer replied, her eyes widening. The planet is generating a vast amount of clean, sustainable energy, far beyond anything we've seen in the rest of the galaxy. Their power grid is interconnected and highly efficient, with no signs of fossil fuel usage or environmental degradation. Ava felt a flutter of excitement in her chest. Could it be possible that Earth had evolved into a true utopia, a shining example of what humanity could achieve? What about their military capabilities? The automated message did mention they were willing to use force against us. The officer's expression grew more serious. That's where things get concerning. Our scans have detected a network of highly sophisticated defense systems, including orbital platforms, missile silos, and what appear to be advanced plasma-based weaponry. And the kicker, we can't get an accurate read on the full extent of their capabilities. It's as if they've got some kind of cloaking or masking technology in place. Ava's brow furrowed. That fits with the initial automated message. They're clearly aware of our presence and have no qualms about using force to defend their borders. But why? She began to pace once more, her mind racing. What could have driven them to become so isolated and defensive? I wish I had an answer for you, Captain, the officer replied, her voice tinged with regret. But the data we gathered so far only raises more questions. It's as if Earth has been purposefully hidden away from the rest of the galaxy for centuries, if not millennia. Ava nodded, her eyes narrowing. Then we'll just have to find a way to get them to open up to us. Diplomacy is clearly not going to work. They've made that abundantly clear. We need to find another approach. The officer hesitated, her gaze flickering with uncertainty. Captain, I'm not sure that's wise. These people have clearly gone to great lengths to maintain their isolation. Attempting to force our way in could have disastrous consequences. Ava held up a hand, silencing the officer. I understand your concerns, but we can't simply turn back now. Earth is the birthplace of humanity. We have a responsibility to at least try to reconnect with our homeworld, even if it means taking some risks. The officer opened her mouth to protest, but Ava cut her off. Prep the diplomatic shuttle. I'll be leading the away team myself. Perhaps a more personal approach will be more effective than another automated message. The officer nodded reluctantly, her fingers flying across the console. Ava took a deep breath, steeling her nerves. She knew that this was a risky gambit, but she couldn't shake the feeling that there was something truly extraordinary happening on Earth, and she was determined to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. As the diplomatic shuttle prepared for launch, Ava gathered her team. A small group of her most trusted officers, each with a unique set of skills and experiences. She briefed them on the situation, emphasizing the need for caution and diplomacy. Our goal is to open a dialogue with the people of Earth, Ava explained, her gaze sweeping across the assembled crew. We need to understand their motivations, their fears, and their desires. Only then can we hope to find a path forward that satisfies both our interests. The team nodded in agreement, their expressions resolute. Ava turned to the pilot, her voice steady. Take us down, Lieutenant. Let's see if we can't get the Earthlings to come out of their shell. The shuttle descended through the planet's atmosphere, its sleek exterior shimmering in the sunlight. As they approached the surface, Ava couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and trepidation. This was the birthplace of humanity, a world that had been lost to the annals of history for untold generations. The shuttle touched down in a grassy field, far from any visible signs of civilization. Ava and her team disembarked, their eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of activity. Sensors are picking up faint energy readings, but I can't pinpoint the source, the science officer murmured, her brow furrowed in concentration. Ava nodded, her hand resting on the holstered sidearm at her hip. Keep your eyes peeled, everyone. We don't know what to expect. They moved forward cautiously, their boots crunching on the grass. Suddenly, a voice rang out, echoing across the field. Identify yourselves and state your purpose, or be prepared to face the consequences. Ava recognized the voice. It was the same one from the automated message. She raised her hands in a gesture of peace, her voice calm and measured. We mean you no harm. I am Captain Ava Sinclair of the Interstellar Exploratory Initiative. We've come to make contact with the people of Earth, to offer our assistance and share in the knowledge of the wider galaxy. There was a long, tense silence, and Ava could feel the tension in the air. Finally, a figure emerged from the tree line, clad in a sleek, high-tech suit of armor. You have been warned, the figure said, its modulated voice dripping with hostility. Leave this world immediately, or face the consequences. Ava's heart pounded in her chest, but she refused to back down. We're not here to cause trouble. All we want is to reconnect with our homeworld, to learn about the incredible advancements you've made. Surely you can understand our desire to understand our own history. The figure paused, and Ava could almost feel the weight of their gaze through the opaque visor. Your homeworld has no need for the affairs of the galaxy. We have built a civilization here that is self-sufficient and secure. We have no desire to engage with outside civilizations. Your presence is an unwelcome intrusion. Ava's brow furrowed, a spark of defiance igniting within her. But you can't simply cut yourselves off from the rest of humanity. We've spread out across the stars, establishing colonies and outposts on countless worlds. We've lost touch with our origins, and we need to understand where we came from. The figure's response was swift and unyielding. Then you will remain lost. Earth is ours, and we will defend it at all costs. Leave, or be prepared to face the consequences. Ava's jaw tightened, her mind racing. These Earthlings were clearly determined to maintain their isolation, no matter the cost. But she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to their story, that they were hiding something, perhaps even from themselves. We won't leave, Ava said, her voice firm. We've come too far to turn back now. If you won't talk to us, then we'll find a way to make you listen. The figure's response was a flash of light and the hum of powerful energy, and Ava and her team braced themselves for the impending conflict. It seemed that the Earthlings were not going to go down without a fight. The unveiling of Earth's might, 1,500 words. The air crackled with tension as Ava and her team faced off against the lone figure clad in the advanced suit of armor. The Earthling's modulated voice echoed across the field, laced with a menacing edge. I will not repeat myself. Leave this world immediately, or be prepared to face the consequences. Ava's hand instinctively moved towards her holstered sidearm, but she forced herself to pause. Confrontation was the last thing she wanted, not when they were so close to making contact with the long-lost homeworld of humanity. We're not here to fight, Ava said, her voice calm and measured. We simply want to talk, to understand why you've chosen to isolate yourselves from the rest of the galaxy. The figure's stance remained tense, but Ava could almost sense a flicker of uncertainty behind the opaque visor. You do not understand the stakes involved. Earth has thrived in isolation, and we have no desire to change that. Ava took a step forward, her eyes never leaving the figures. But don't you see? The rest of humanity has been searching for you for centuries. We've spread out across the stars, establishing colonies and outposts on countless worlds. And yet, the very birthplace of our species has been lost to us. The figure's response was clipped and unyielding. That is not our concern. Earth is self-sufficient, and we have no need for the affairs of the galaxy. Ava shook her head, a flicker of frustration burning in her chest. You can't just cut yourselves off from the rest of humanity. We're all part of the same story, the same legacy. Surely you can understand our desire to reconnect with our origins. The figure paused, and for a moment, Ava thought she detected a hint of hesitation. But then the figure's stance hardened once more, and the response came with renewed resolve. Your origins are no longer relevant to us. Earth has evolved beyond the need for outside interference. We will defend our sovereignty at all costs." Ava opened her mouth to respond, but before she could, a sudden movement in the distance caught her eye. Her gaze was drawn to the horizon, where a series of sleek, angular structures were emerging from the ground. "What the—" she breathed, her eyes widening. The figure's stance shifted, and Ava could sense a shift in the atmosphere, a palpable tension that set her nerves on edge. "You have been warned," the figure said, its voice cutting through the stillness. "Leave, or face the consequences." Ava's mind raced as she tried to process what was happening. These structures, they had to be some kind of advanced defense system, unlike anything she had ever seen. And the Earthlings' warning. It was clear that they were not bluffing. Ava took a deep breath, her resolve hardening. "We're not going anywhere. This is our homeworld, and we have a right to be here." The figure's response was swift and decisive. "Then you have chosen your fate." With a blinding flash of light, the structures on the horizon erupted into a barrage of energy beams, their power crackling through the air. Ava and her team dove for cover, their hearts pounding as they scrambled to avoid the devastating attacks. Ava's fingers flew across the communicator on her wrist, her voice tense. "Mayday, Mayday. This is Captain Sinclair. We're under attack. Requesting immediate extraction and backup." The response from her ship was rapid and clear. "Copy that, Captain. Shuttle is inbound. ETA 2 minutes. Hold your position and try to de-escalate the situation if possible." Ava gritted her teeth, her eyes searching the horizon for any sign of the Earthling figure. But the armor-clad figure had vanished, leaving them to face the full force of the planet's defenses alone. As the shuttle approached, its thrusters roaring, Ava and her team sprinted towards the landing pad. They'd barely made it aboard before the craft was rocked by a series of explosions, the energy beams from the defense systems slamming into the shuttle's shields. "Get us out of here, now!" Ava shouted, her heart pounding in her chest. The pilot needed no further encouragement, gunning the engines and sending the shuttle hurtling back towards the safety of the orbiting ship. Ava gripped the edge of her seat, her knuckles white, as they narrowly evaded the relentless barrage of energy blasts. Once they were safely back on the bridge, Ava turned to her crew, her expression grim. "What the hell just happened down there?" The science officer's fingers danced across the holographic displays, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Captain, the defensive systems on Earth are unlike anything we've encountered before. They're utilizing some kind of advanced plasma-based weaponry, with targeting and tracking capabilities that far exceed our own technologies." Ava's lips pressed into a thin line. "And the Earthlings? Do we have any indication of their overall military strength?" The officer hesitated, her gaze flickering with unease. "That's the thing, Captain. We're still not sure. Our scans were only able to detect a fraction of their capabilities before they drove us off. It's almost as if they were holding back, deliberately concealing the full extent of their power." Ava's mind raced, a sense of dread settling in the pit of her stomach. If the Earthlings were capable of such ferocious defense systems, what else were they hiding? And what did it mean for the rest of the galaxy, now that humanity's long-lost homeworld had been rediscovered? "We need to get a better understanding of what we're up against," Ava said, her voice firm. "Dispatch a stealth reconnaissance team to observe the planet and its defenses. I want a full tactical analysis before we make any further attempts at contact." The crew sprang into action, but Ava's gaze remained fixed on the image of Earth, her brow furrowed in thought. This was no longer just about reconnecting with their homeworld. It was about understanding the true nature of the Earthlings and their intentions. In the days that followed, the reconnaissance team's findings painted a startling picture. The defensive systems they had witnessed were only the tip of the iceberg. The Earthlings possessed a veritable arsenal of advanced weapons and technologies, from long-range plasma cannons to orbital strike platforms capable of decimating entire fleets. And that was just the beginning. As the reconnaissance team delved deeper, They uncovered evidence of a highly sophisticated military infrastructure, with stockpiles of advanced munitions and a network of heavily fortified underground bunkers and command centers. Ava's stomach twisted with a mixture of awe and unease. "How is this possible?" she murmured, her fingers drumming against the arm of her chair. How could Earth have developed such formidable capabilities without the rest of the galaxy knowing? The science officer's expression was grave. "It's clear now that the Earthlings have been preparing for this moment for a very long time, Captain. They'd been quietly amassing their strength, shielding themselves from the outside world with advanced cloaking and masking technologies." Ava's eyes narrowed. "And what of their population? Surely a planet-wide military buildup of this scale would require a tremendous amount of resources and manpower." The officer hesitated, her gaze flickering with uncertainty. "That's the thing, Captain. Our scans indicate that the Earthlings have achieved a remarkable level of technological and societal integration. Their population is highly organized, efficient, and seemingly content with their isolated existence. It's as if they've willingly devoted themselves to this grand vision of self-sufficiency and defense." Ava leaned back in her chair, her mind racing. If the Earthlings were truly this powerful, and this resolute in their determination to remain isolated, then the implications for the rest of the galaxy were staggering. They could no longer be ignored or dismissed as a lost relic of humanity's past. "Assemble a diplomatic team," Ava said, her voice steady. "We need to arrange a direct meeting with the leaders of Earth. If they're going to refuse to join the galactic community, then we need to at least understand their motivations and intentions. The stability of the entire galaxy may depend on it." The crew snapped to attention, already in motion to carry out Ava's orders. As they bustled about the bridge, Ava's gaze once again fixed on the image of Earth, her heart heavy with the weight of the responsibility that now rested on her shoulders. Whatever secrets the Earthlings were hiding, she was determined to uncover them, no matter the cost. The clash of galactic forces, 1,500 words. The tension in the room was palpable as Ava and her diplomatic team prepared to make first contact with the leaders of Earth. After the harrowing encounter on the surface and the revelations about the planet's staggering military capabilities, the stakes had never been higher. Ava took a deep breath, steeling her nerves. "All right, everyone, remember, our goal is to open a constructive dialogue, not to provoke another confrontation. We need to understand their perspective, their motivations, and their ultimate intentions." Her team nodded in agreement, their expressions resolute. Ava turned to the communications officer. "Hail the planet and request an audience with the highest-ranking officials. Make it clear that we come in peace and that we're willing to negotiate in good faith." The officer's fingers danced across the controls, and a moment later, a response crackled through the speakers. "This is the Planetary Defense Council of Earth. We have received your request for an audience. Prepare to be transported to our designated meeting location. Any hostile actions will be met with immediate and overwhelming force." Ava exchanged a tense glance with her team, but she nodded. Acknowledged. "We're ready to proceed." In a flash of light, Ava and her team found themselves standing in a vast, cavernous chamber. The walls were lined with displays and holographic interfaces, and a series of imposing figures stood before them, clad in sleek, armor-like uniforms. "Welcome, visitors from the stars," one of the figures intoned, his voice deep and resonant. "I am Krail, leader of the Planetary Defense Council. You have been granted an audience to state your case. Proceed, but choose your words carefully." Ava stepped forward, her posture straight and her gaze unwavering. "Thank you for receiving us, Krail. We come in peace, with a desire to understand and connect with the people of Earth, our long-lost homeworld." Krail's expression remained impassive. "Your homeworld has no need for the affairs of the galaxy. We have built a self-sustaining civilization here, one that is resilient and secure. What possible reason could we have to engage with the outside world?" Ava took a deep breath, her mind racing. "But don't you see? We are all part of the same story, The same human legacy. Humanity has spread out across the stars, establishing colonies and outposts on countless worlds. And yet, the very birthplace of our species has been lost to us for centuries. We simply seek to reconnect, to learn from your remarkable achievements, and share in the knowledge of the wider galaxy. Krail's gaze narrowed. Your human legacy means nothing to us. We have moved beyond the petty squabbles and conflicts that have plagued your kind for millennia. We have forged a path of our own, one that ensures the safety and prosperity of Earth and its people. Ava felt a surge of frustration. But at what cost? You've isolated yourselves, cutting off all contact with the rest of humanity. Surely you must see the value in collaboration, in sharing knowledge and resources. Krail's response was firm and unyielding. We have no need for your collaboration. Earth is self-sufficient, and we will defend our sovereignty at all costs. You have been warned. Leave this world, or face the consequences. Iva opened her mouth to protest, but before she could speak, a series of rapid beeps echoed through the chamber. Krail's gaze snapped to one of the nearby displays, his expression hardening. It seems we have unwelcome visitors, he growled. Mobilize the defense fleet. We will not allow the galaxy to encroach upon our domain. Ava's heart raced as she watched the figures spring into action, their fingers flying across the holographic interfaces. Wait, what's happening? She demanded. Who's invading? Krail's gaze fixed on her, his eyes narrowed. A coalition of alien empires, threatened by the power of Earth and determined to subjugate us. They have amassed their forces on the outskirts of our system, and they will not be turned away easily. Ava felt a chill run down her spine. Then let us help you, she said, her voice firm. We've seen the extent of your military capabilities, and we know that you're more than capable of defending yourselves. But perhaps together, we can find a way to resolve this conflict peacefully. Krail's expression hardened. We have no need for your assistance. Earth will defend itself, as it has for millennia. Your presence here is an unnecessary distraction. He turned to the others, his voice booming. Prepare for battle. We will not yield to the demands of the galaxy. Iva watched in helpless frustration as the Earthlings mobilized their forces, their advanced ships and weapons systems powering up with a deafening hum. She knew that they were vastly outmatched, that the alien coalition would bring the full force of their own technological might to bear. And yet she couldn't shake the feeling that the Earthlings had something up their sleeve, some hidden ace in the hole that would turn the tide of the battle. As the hours ticked by, the tension on the bridge of Ava's ship grew palpable. The sensor readings were clear. The alien armada was closing in, their massive warships bristling with firepower. Captain, the Earthlings are hailing us, the communications officer reported, her voice tense. Ava straightened, her gaze hardening. Put them through. Krail's face appeared on the main view screen, his expression grim. Captain Sinclair, you and your crew have a choice to make. You can either join us in defending our homeworld, or you can stand aside and watch as the galaxy burns. Ava felt a surge of determination. We're with you, Krail. Whatever it takes, we'll fight to protect Earth and its people. Krail's lips curved into a faint smile. Then let the battle commence. The air crackled with energy as the alien armada surged forward, their weapons blazing. But to Ava's astonishment, the Earthlings met their assault with a dazzling display of firepower, their advanced plasma cannons and missile batteries tearing through the enemy ships with devastating precision. As the battle raged on, Ava and her crew worked tirelessly, lending their own skills and technologies to the defense of Earth. They maneuvered their ships with lightning-fast reflexes, coordinating with the Earthling forces to counter the alien onslaught. And yet, despite their valiant efforts, the sheer scale of the alien coalition's forces threatened to overwhelm them. Ava watched in horror as wave after wave of enemy ships pounded against the Earthlings' defenses, their shields and weapons systems straining under the relentless barrage. Just when it seemed that all was lost, Krail's voice echoed through the communications channel, his tone triumphant. Witness the true power of Earth, Captain Sinclair. We will not be conquered, not by the galaxy, nor by any force that dares to stand against us. Ava's eyes widened as a series of massive structures emerged from the planet's surface, their massive cannons and missile silos unleashing a devastating salvo against the enemy fleet. The alien ships were caught off guard, their hulls ripped apart by the ferocious assault. What is that? Ava breathed, her mind racing. Our final line of defense, Krail replied, his voice tinged with pride. The embodiment of Earth's unwavering resolve. Now witness the end of those who would dare to threaten our sovereignty. The battle raged on, but the tide had turned. The Earthlings' advanced weaponry and defensive systems proved to be a match for even the mightiest alien armadas, steadily whittling down their forces until the enemy was forced to retreat, their tails firmly between their legs. As the dust settled, Ava stared in awe at the shattered remains of the alien ships, her mind reeling from the sheer power and determination of the Earthlings. She had known that they were formidable, but this was something else entirely. Krail's voice broke the silence, his tone measured and calm. You have seen the true might of Earth, Captain Sinclair. We will not be swayed, nor will we be conquered. The galaxy would do well to remember that. Ava swallowed hard, her heart pounding. I understand. Earth is a force to be reckoned with, and we will respect your sovereignty. But I hope that one day we can find a way to work together, to share in the knowledge and progress of the wider galaxy. Krail's gaze was unflinching. We shall see, Captain. For now, you and your crew are welcome to remain and observe. But do not mistake our tolerance for weakness. Earth will always stand alone, unbound by the whims of the galaxy. Ava nodded, her resolve hardening. Understood. We'll be here, ready to learn and to offer our assistance, should you ever choose to accept it. As the Earthlings turned their attention to the task of securing their borders, Ava couldn't help but feel a sense of both awe and trepidation. The power and determination of this long-lost homeworld was unlike anything she had ever witnessed, and she knew, with a growing sense of certainty, that the galaxy would never be the same again. The dawn of a new galactic order, 1,500 words. The aftermath of the battle between Earth and the alien coalition was nothing short of monumental. As the dust settled, and the decimated remnants of the invading armada retreated back to the fringes of the galaxy, the rest of the interstellar community found itself facing a new and formidable reality. Ava and her crew had borne witness to the staggering power and unwavering resolve of the Earthlings, their advanced technologies and uncompromising defense capabilities, shattering the myth of their long-lost homeworld. Now the eyes of the galaxy were fixed firmly on Earth, a mix of awe, fear, and apprehension filling the hearts of even the mightiest civilizations. As Ava stood on the bridge of her ship, staring out at the pale blue orb that had once been humanity's forgotten cradle, she couldn't help but feel a sense of both triumph and trepidation. They had finally reconnected with their origins, but at what cost? Captain, we're receiving a hail from the Planetary Defense Council, the communications officer announced, her voice tense. Ava straightened her shoulders, her gaze hardening. Put them through. Krail's imposing figure appeared on the main view screen, his expression unreadable. Captain Sinclair, your crew has performed admirably in the defense of our homeworld. We are impressed by your tenacity and your willingness to stand beside us against the invading forces. Ava nodded, her mind racing. Thank you, Krail. We are honored to have played a role in protecting Earth and its people. But I sense there is more you wish to discuss. Krail's lips quirked ever so slightly. Indeed there is. The galaxy has been profoundly shaken by the events that have unfolded here. The power and technological superiority of Earth is no longer a secret, and many are now reconsidering their stance towards us. Ava felt a flutter of anticipation in her chest. So, what does this mean for the future? Will Earth finally be willing to engage with the rest of the galaxy? Krail's gaze narrowed. The Planetary Defense Council has deliberated extensively on this matter. We have concluded that the time has come for Earth to assert its rightful place in the galactic community. However, this will be on our own terms. Ava nodded, her mind already whirling with the implications. I understand. What are your conditions? First and foremost, we demand full sovereignty and autonomy, Krail replied, his voice firm. Earth will not be subject to the whims or demands of any other power, whether they be individual civilizations or governing bodies. We will determine our own path forward. Ava hesitated, her brow furrowing. And what of the rest of humanity? Surely you recognize that we have a shared legacy, a common bond that transcends the boundaries of the galaxy. Krail's expression darkened. That shared legacy is of little consequence to us. The people of Earth have forged their own destiny, separate from the squabbles and conflicts that have plagued the rest of your kind. We will, however, be willing to share our knowledge and technologies, but only on our own terms. Ava felt a twinge of unease, but she pressed on. And what of your military might? Will Earth be willing to use its considerable firepower to help maintain order and stability in the galaxy? Krail's gaze was unwavering. Earth's military capabilities are solely for the defense of our homeworld and our people. We have no desire to become embroiled in the petty conflicts of the galaxy. However, we will not hesitate to use our power to protect our interests, should the need arise. Ava took a deep breath, her mind racing. The implications of what Krail was proposing were staggering. Earth was effectively demanding to be recognized as a sovereign, independent power, one that would wield its technological and military superiority as a bargaining chip rather than as a tool for galactic cooperation. I understand, Ava said slowly, but surely you must see the value in collaboration, in sharing your knowledge and resources with the rest of humanity. We've been searching for our homeworld for centuries, and now that we've found it, we have a chance to heal the divide, to come together as a species. Krail's expression hardened. We have no need for healing or coming together. Earth is self-sufficient, and we have no desire to be entangled in the affairs of the galaxy. Our offer stands. We will share our technologies and knowledge, but only on our own terms. Refuse, and we will have no choice but to defend our sovereignty by any means necessary. Ava felt a chill run down her spine. Krail's words were laced with an unmistakable threat, and she knew that the Earthlings were not bluffing. They had proven their military might, and they were willing to use it to ensure that their demands were met. I understand, Ava said, her voice hesitant. The Planetary Defense Council's terms will be presented to the galactic community. We will need time to deliberate and formulate a response. Krail's lips curled into a faint smile. Time is a luxury you no longer possess, Captain Sinclair. The galaxy has been forever changed by the events that have unfolded here. The people of Earth will not be ignored, nor will we be trifled with. You have been warned. The transmission cut off, leaving Ava and her crew in stunned silence. The weight of the decision that now lay before them was overwhelming, and Ava knew that the future of the galaxy hung in the balance. As she paced the bridge, her mind racing, the science officer approached her, his expression grave. Captain, I've been monitoring the communications from the rest of the galaxy. It's not good. Ava felt her heart sink. What's happening? The Earthlings' display of power has sent shockwaves through the interstellar community, the officer replied, his fingers flying across the console. Alliances are fracturing, and civilizations are scrambling to reevaluate their strategies and defenses. Some are even calling for a preemptive strike against Earth, fearing the consequences of its unilateral demands. Ava's eyes widened. A preemptive strike? Are they mad? Surely they understand the consequences of provoking the Earthlings. The officer nodded, his brow furrowed. Exactly. The risk of such an action is immense, but the fear of Earth's growing influence is driving some to desperate measures. The galaxy is on the brink of a war that could devastate us all. Ava felt a surge of determination. Then we can't let that happen. We need to act now, to bring the galactic community together and find a diplomatic solution before everything spirals out of control. The officer nodded, his expression resolute. I'll notify the other ships in our fleet. We need to convene a meeting of the Interstellar Council immediately. As the crew sprang into action, Ava turned her gaze once more to the gleaming image of Earth, her heart heavy with the weight of the responsibility that now rested on her shoulders. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and she knew that the path forward would be fraught with danger and uncertainty. But for the sake of humanity, both on Earth and across the stars, she was determined to find a way to bridge the divide, to forge a new era of cooperation and understanding. The dawn of a new galactic order was upon them, and Ava was ready to play her part in shaping its course.